there are insurmountable regulations, not only federally, but just here in the state. We heard Marty Lamb talking about them tonight at the dinner, and Marty was on my show. He was talking also about the solar manufacturing place, the power plant going up in Holliston. The regulations that you see just in your business, can you allude a little bit to that? That's
sure.
You were talking about lead when we were at the thing. You would mention some stuff about lead paint, the new regulations going on.
One of the new things that has come out is that we have all these bureaucrats that are unemployed, and I guess part of the plan is to find new things for them to regulate. So we found out that there's buildings that have been painted with lead. So we now have odious lead paint regulations. Now, of course, you'd probably say, well, there are kids being poisoned by lead paint. We are at an all-time low in 2011 of children with elevated lead levels in the entire United States. When we were boys back in the 70s and stuff, they put lead in gasoline.
It was everywhere.
And elevated...
We played with it.
Yeah. Well, one of the bad things is lead tastes good. So let's be a little careful here.
Don't worry, folks. I only twitch a little bit in the morning. For the rest of the day, I'm fine.
Yeah. But we've now gotten to the point, and just like the EPA had said, some 15 years ago, that probably by around this time, because of the remediation efforts they had been taking, that there would be, not that it would eliminate it, because you can't eliminate anything.
But we'd reach a level where it's low enough.
Absolutely. So, of course, we've reached that level, so now they, of course, are redefining what an elevated level of lead is, of course, to make it...
Oh, I see where you're going.
To make it so that they have more reason for this.
So instead of... I don't mean to interrupt you, but hear me out here.
Yes, sir.
So instead of declaring this is a success story, this government program is a success. We've met our goals. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve. It's time to end this and move on. No, they just came up with, well, let's lower the standards so we can keep going for another 25, 30 years.
Exactly. And, of course, to affect this positive change, we now have to have people...
And that's it, positive change.
Positive change, yes. There are now licenses. There's a whole groupings of things. If you have a home and it's built before 1976 and you do not know for a fact that it is lead-free, it's going to cost you an awful lot of money to have it painted.
And I told you I used to be a painting contractor. I used to come in. I was never lead certified. I always used to come in after the fact. And I don't know about you, but these lead people, they destroy the home. The woodwork is not just sanded down. It looks like it went through a bark remover at a sawmill. I've seen historical homes with architectural moldings destroyed, simply because there was lead paint in it.
And that's one of those great things, because of course you have one level of the government telling you that you can't do anything to this, 1850s historical landmark, and you have this other part of the government telling you that, oh, no, you have to take chemical solvents to it, and you have to do all of these other things. And then, of course, the third level of the government, OSHA, is going to show up and say, no, I know that the lead laws say that you got to have plastic all around the house, but if you put a ladder on plastic, you're in violation of OSHA regulations. So basically, as a painting contractor, you try to mitigate your risk by never working on a house that wasn't built before 78.
So now you're just destroying jobs. You're just making it...
Oh, absolutely.
So that nobody wants to do anything.
This destroyed all sorts of jobs. One of the great things about painting is it is a business that has very few barriers to entry. You lose your job tomorrow. You come down to my store and you say, hey, Matt, I'm in trouble. I have no job. And I will say, here's a brush, and we can get you work.
Right.
And that's the way I've always run this business for the way too long time I've been in it. And I believe that there's a lot of value there. And I believe that there are a lot of buildings, especially I've driven around this area, that need paint.
Sure.
And there's probably a lot of people who should be able to make a decent amount of money painting. But no, we have now added these barriers to entry. We have now gotten the same level of regulation on this that we have on, offshore oil rigs.
Right.
And we're going to have the same result because, of course, none of these regulations ever seem to work. We still seem to have, even though the president told us a few years ago that drilling offshore is accident-free now. It's not. Remember that.
Of course.
No matter what, any human endeavor, there will be risk and change. And there's a place for the government in all of these things. And we could talk about, well, how would you solve the problem of lead houses and poor kids being exposed to lead? And I think we could have a intelligent discussion from that. And I think there's a role to be played.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the discussion. The aegis for these things is not to solve the problem. The aegis is to create a bureaucracy, a large controlling bureaucracy
right.
that is reminiscent of the Stasi that the East German communists had. There's no end to problems in human suffering. And there's plenty of things. One of the biggest lies is that us in the Tea Party are against government. We just feel that there's an appropriate place and appropriate things that government should be doing. Another thing I was talking about was food stamps. It is absolutely morally wrong that we have soldiers risking their lives in Afghanistan.
They're on food stamps.
And their wives and children are home here on food stamps. That is something that should never, ever happen. These men and women should be compensated appropriately so they can feed their families. I mean, that is the most disgusting thing I can hear about. Let alone, let's talk about the soldiers who come back who have, injuries that are not being appropriately taken care of. And we talk about some of the veterans hospitals and the needs there. Let's talk about the fact that we have Jim McGovern, who voted against funding the oil for the programs for old, poor people, veterans to get oil. But he did vote to make sure that they're building that giant mausoleum to Ted Kennedy.
Mm.
And that money had no problems greasing the tracks and getting through.
That's unbelievable.
These are the things that wake me up in the middle of the night and make me scream it. It's so very wrong. And we can do so much better, and it wouldn't be that hard. It's not like we're, some sort of Stone Age country and we don't have resources and we can't take care of people who have genuine needs or whose cities have been washed away by floods. We have all that we need to do. I mean,
to solve the problems.
Yes. We have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the intelligence. But then we misallocate it, making signs that saying this project was brought to you by the Obama administration.
Exactly.
Or Deval Patrick or whoever politician wants to get his name out.
Right down here at Washington Square. It was all redone again, I think, for the third or fourth time in my lifetime. Don't ask me why. And it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It looks absolutely beautiful. Every Thursday night I get off the train and I ride my bike through here to come to the Meat and Potato Show. And it looks beautiful. But yes, the signs were up. Brought to you by the Obama stimulus. It was unbelievable.
Right now in Worcester, you have the fourth school being judged underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
Education in the city of Worcester is so bad that even the city clerk has problems counting votes, as we saw in the last election. But they're arguing over whether they should spend $12 million or $15 million to repair a bridge. I would think we could probably build that bridge for $10 million and take the rest of the money and build schools with books in them and maybe a couple of teachers.
Exactly. Matt, thank you so much for being here. That was awesome. It was a great show. Ladies and gentlemen, WCUW 91.3 FM and online, WCUW.org. My guest tonight, Tea Party activist and member, and new guest on the show. You're going to come back again, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, definitely. Matt O'Brien.